get rid of that. Oh, I kind of like the purple. So order of operations. And as I said yesterday, somebody a long time ago decided that we were going to do these operations in math in a certain way. They could have decided in a different way, but that's what they decided on. And so it was, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. PEMDAS, remember that? Okay, remember what P stands for? Those are the parentheses. Can I just do this? Then we do exponents. Now an exponent is something like this. 4 to the third power. And what does that mean, George? What is 4 to the third power? 4 times what? Times 4. A lot of you think that's 12. Okay, Gabe? 12 would be 4 plus 4 plus 4. Notice the difference. We've got to be really particular in math about noticing the difference. And because we are so lazy in math, we don't want to write 4 plus itself 3 times. We've made a notation. It's called multiplication. Somebody decided that. I don't know who, but it was a long time ago. We don't have a choice. They could have made it like this, 3 star 4. They could have made 4 cubed to mean 4 plus 4 plus 4, but they didn't. So we've learned what somebody has already decided. That's just all there is. And you multiply those. Does anybody know what 4 times 4 times 4 is? Do you know, Jeremiah? Okay, it's 64. But, you're only as good as you are with a calculator as the operator. So just because you have a calculator doesn't mean it's easy. I found that out when I taught geometry one year with a calculator. I found that they couldn't do the calculator correctly, so it wasn't a great tool. Okay, then here's the tricky part. We clear out all the multiplication or division. There's a big or there. And we go from left to right. So, for instance, 12 divided by 3 times 4. That's probably one of the hardest problems, Josh, that you're going to work on. Put your iPad away, please. Okay, but we're doing this right now. The answer is 16. Some people, notice the difference between that and this. Okay? You see, they don't look alike. They look almost alike, but they're not alike. And this would say 12 divided by, because I've got to do my parentheses first, which would give you 1. But this one isn't that way. This one, it says we do our division or multiplication, whichever comes first, right away. So you have to go left to right. So 12 divided by 3 is 4, times 4 is 16. Your calculator does order of operations correctly all the time, provided you enter it right. That's a big thing. Same thing with addition, subtraction. Now I clear out all of this stuff and keep things separated by the plus or the minus signs. That's okay, because that's the very last thing you do. Addition or subtraction, left to right. When we come back from MEA, we will be doing substitution with order of operations. Right now, the numbers are already in there, so it's a little bit easier. What are we going to do with these exponents? And this causes problems in all grade levels. I don't care what grade you're in. I don't care what math class you're in. It causes a problem. I want you to look at this problem and this problem. Do they look the same? No, they're not. And they don't look the same. This has parentheses, right? They don't look the same. What does this mean? This means what? Negative 2 times negative 2. What do 2 negatives make? Elias, what do 2 negatives make? Positive 4. And I'm going to show you this one 2 different ways. You pick your choice. If there's a third way, somebody can help me out with that. This says, order of operations says we do the squaring before we do that minus. This 2 only operates on that base there, that 2. So it's really a minus 1 times 2 squared. And this is a negative 1 times a negative 2, positive 2. But that still means negative 1 times 2, negative 1 times 2. And if we know what something means, then we remember. The students sometimes in my other classes have problems because they memorized. Okay, we're not going to memorize. We want to understand. So if we know what this means, these are definitions, and life is really easy. Do I take the negative times the 2 first, or do I square first? Husband, which way do I do it? Do I go negative 1 times 2, or do I square first? Okay, so it's negative 1 times 4. So the answer is negative 4. Now, sometimes maybe that's hard for you to recognize. So I have another way to do that. A minus 2 squared is the same as 0 take away 2 squared. There's a 0 there. It's just kind of invisible, but that's okay. Now, do I square first, or do I subtract first? Now it becomes more clear. Zach, do I square first, or do I subtract first? No? Remember order of operations. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I do my exponents right away. So it's 0 subtract, what's 2 squared? 4. And what's 0 subtract 4? Negative 4. Yeah, you got to undo that. If you've been doing it differently, you got to undo that. That's the reason why I want you, Josh, to check answers and make sure you're getting these right. Because if you're getting them wrong and you learn to do it wrong, we have to undo all of that and learn to do it right. And that's a lot of work. I've had a student do that long, long time ago. He sat in my class and learned everything wrong. He refused to learn it right. And he had to come back the following year because he didn't know it. And we had to unlearn everything. Well, when he decided to unlearn and follow my instructions, he was just fine. But it wasted a year. And with the math standards the way they are, you can't afford to waste a year. So you got to trust me. Some of you do. So this is just more of the same old, same old. And we'll walk around and we're going to check your work on problem number 1. See if you've got this squaring thing down. So give it a try. That's about all I have to say about this. I think you're okay with your order of operations, and everybody has a white sheet, so this should come in to me today. I know I've got 3 of them. I got to find them. And the rest of the time is for you to work. Ooh, look at that, I actually did that.